guys? Welcome back to another Crave Shock podcast featuring my co-host Gaz,
Yep.
and we have Michael Yap here.
Hi, everyone.
Interesting. Hi, how are you? We had a really big weekend that just passed. I went to a wedding, very big weekend. A lot of stuff happened at that wedding. I was actually the MC of the wedding. That was probably the most important thing that happened this past weekend, right?
Yeah, pretty much. I guess we had one of the smaller Grand Archive tournaments.
Yeah, it's just small, whatever. 100 people, 118, I think it was.
Team was okay, nothing out of the ordinary.
Seriously though, so obviously Auckland Ascent was this recent weekend. Sadly, I could not make it, but Yap and Gaz were there repping the Crave Shock team. How did we go, boys? What's the bad news?
Bad news is not 1 and 2. Good news is 1 and 4. So,
I mean, yeah, wow.
Yeah, I guess
we're still kind of taking it in. I wasn't even there. Oh, bring that closer. Bring that closer. Bring that closer. Oh man. All right. So obviously, I wasn't there.
3-1 good home. If you can show that you've taken care of cards in the past, I'm taking applications.
Yeah, I wasn't there. You guys have all of the juice to kind of share with our listeners. I am still haven't even processed it fully yet, even though I wasn't there. It's still surreal to think that we actually traveled to an international event and we took it home. You guys took it home, which is great.
Yeah, it was crazy. Obviously, your best man at a wedding, so it was hard to obviously come. It would have been awesome for you to be over there, but that would have changed. Anything could have happened with you there, different matchings or whatever, and I kind of don't want to change the outcome of the event.
Yeah, 100%.
No, it was good, and obviously we'll go through our tournament, the decks we picked, why we chose them.
Let's start with you, obviously, guys. What deck did you play and why?
Yeah, so I played Ensol Lorraine. I'd been playing
old school.
Yeah, I've been playing it for a while. Obviously, I've been playing it at all the store champs. There was a little brief moment I was going to jump on to Yap's Merlin, the hybrid Merlin, because I was getting smashed by him to the point I tilted. I don't really tilt. So I think our conversation was, I can't play anymore. I just need to think.
Is that true, Yap? Is that what happened?
So we were just deck testing, and I was like, Enso has a very glaring weakness in the deck. You need 7 cards to pull off whatever you're trying to pull off. And because how Merlin is designed, you're eating floating memory from people's graveyards, and Enso is very reliant on being super card efficient up to level 3. It can be quite tricky, and with the new card Resolute Stand, obviously, it's a complete shutdown for Enso for that one turn. But of course, there are other cards that allow you to close the game as Enso. You just don't. But bottom line is you still have to play Enso before you close the game with maybe Varrock Rending or Varrock Devastating Blow. Yep.
And Gaz, you didn't really run into any problems when it came to getting to 7 cards, it seemed like.
Nah. So when I made the call to stay on Enso, I just knew I didn't have the time to get the reps in that hybrid Merlin. So the list, when Yap talks about his list, it's a very strong list, but because you have to play a couple of turns ahead, because if you're deciding to go the Lorraine path or the Merlin path, or if you have to change on the path, you kind of really need to be comfortable on that. And I wasn't, so I stuck with Ensol and just preferred to play a deck that I knew I could play close to perfect for 2 days than probably the better deck. And I think it was good actually getting the games into Yap and then seeing where people weren't punishing me. So obviously I did play a few Merlins, and there'd be turns where they didn't activate Merlin because there was no floating, but then they didn't eat a fire card. And I'm like, those micro decisions, I was like, now I can hit Rending because you wasted that Merlin 2 turns earlier. You didn't use it 2 turns earlier. Now I close it for Rending, so.
Me and you were saying yesterday when we were talking that us running into Yap isn't a realistic outcome because Yap is min-maxing more than anyone else we're going to verse. So us getting stomped by Yap doesn't mean we're going to go out there and get stomped by everyone else in the vicinity.
I think the most jarring thing was then we obviously versed in the semi-final, and like, what the fuck, like, it was the complete opposite.
Yeah, can I say, Yap? I know we're jumping a bit ahead. What happened there, Yap? What happened with that? I was watching it. Me and Amy were in the pub watching it because we were waiting for our flight for 6 hours, and I was like, wow, Gaz is just gonna clean this up, and then he's gonna go into Caban in the finals and lose, and then we're kind of fucked, and we just miss out on an opportunity. I was like, what is he doing? He's going rogue. Like, what the hell is this?
No, I think game one I was way too relaxed. I'm playing my teammate in the semifinals. We've already made, I think before the game started, I'll be honest, we made the call that he was going to concede anyway, so we're just playing for the sake of playing.
Yeah.
We didn't want to be on stream. We told the judges, the event organizers, but I think Caban and Anyang, they already started their game, so you can't not stream for a semi-final match. So
Of course.
unfortunately, we just have to go on and just play
And then Gaz had to flex his muscles for the first time against you. I don't think I've ever seen him decimate you that much in my entire life on video as well.
Yeah, I mean,
How many times have you watched it, Gaz? How many times have you watched it so far?
I watched it once in the hotel with Yap, and he turned around.
And now 7 times since you got home, right?
So I kept putting the volume louder just so you could hear the commentary while we were playing. No, because it was like, I'm like, it's on stream. I'm like, he took the first game super relaxed, and I'm like, I'm playing my best because I want to win at least one game. And then it goes to game 2, and then that's how it goes held normal. And then game 3, and I was like, when you used all 3 cards to go to Merlin, and you had 2 cards in hand, and I had like 9, I'm like, oh, fuck me. I'm like, this is going to look real stupid.
Yeah, well, the commentators, like, obviously there was no audio. The commentator's like, Gaz has won it. He's going into the finals. And I was like, no fucking way. I, like, wrote into our chat, what the fuck? And then I thought about it. I'm like, well, maybe that's not how it works. So I deleted the message. And then it just, like, I looked over and, like, Michael Yap's in the final. Just moved over and was like, oh, what happened? What happened? I was like, oh, I'm guessing it was a decision that was made.
So, yeah, obviously, we didn't know the outcome. Well, the other semi-final went for like 2.5 hours. We didn't know the outcome.
Yeah, crazy.
But I think I had beaten Isaac in the quarterfinal, who was on, like, him and Caban had the same list, and I bet a similar list in round 8, but I felt they were the exceptions, not the rule. Like, my deck's pretty unfavored into that. Not normal water allies, but that water allies that goes to level 3 and can push a bit more burst damage with Scepter. Obviously, I versed Unya. I'm gonna. If you watch this, I'm gonna mispronounce your name probably 30 times, but super cool dude. The runner-up on Young in the, I think, round 3, and I got past him. So it was like, well, round 1 of that game, the first match, he thought it was on Merlin, so he dumped his hand, and I just swept him. So
his only 2 losses in the whole tournament were you 2.
Yeah.
Interesting.
No, very good player. I think he's a good flesh and blood player from what the NZ locals told me.
I heard he came second in My Hero Nationals after only playing for 2 weeks. I confirmed that today. He came second in Nationals after barely playing. So he's very good card player in general. Yeah.
Super chill guy. He was fun to play against. But yeah, I had a good matchup into one of the semi-finalists where Yap had a good matchup. At least minimum 50-50, probably 60-40s into both matchups. So when we started this, I guess the goal was it was team first. It was like the practical approach, and you can see even though card games are an individual thing, you can see the people that are successful are teams, and I know there's going to be a lot of banter, and I'm going to be probably driving 90% of the pot shots at TCG, but they've top 8'd 2 Aucklands, all 3 of them. So, like, everything is, like, out of respect. And why we probably, were driving harder in this tournament is because we did want to beat them. Which is, I think, comes from a place of respect because we did have to work harder.
It is home ground. It's the same as when Caban came to regionals. We wanted to beat him. We didn't want... You don't want people coming to your territory and taking your wins. So it is a rivalry thing. It's all love, obviously, and it's love of the game. But yeah, banter is good for the game, and it makes people more competitive. And they are the most competitive. Like, they are very competitive people.
Oh, yeah.
So
So the way I look at it, you kind of being in a team does help with testing, helps with tournaments. if stuff happens where it changes, where they're like, because at the moment intentional draws are very much part of the game. I probably don't really like them, but everyone uses them, and if they're within the rules, you're playing a tournament. But I would I count this now. Creative Shock 1, TCG 1. We'll see what happens in Ontario. I'm
True.
sure there's going to be a lot of people that wanted to beat them. I think there's probably going to be a lot of people that now want to beat us.
Yep, 100%.
And I'm happy if overall our position's 37 and theirs is 46. I still count that as a Creative Shock win.
So let's jump over quickly. So obviously, Gaz, you you gave the win to Yap, and you came fourth in the end.
Yep.
Yap, how was your run, and what did you play?
Yeah, so I was on Fire Merlin. It was a kind of different kind of Fire Merlin with the Spirit Ruler in your main board as well. It gives you that option to go into the level 2 Blade Master, which has a very powerful ability on its own. It's a +2 attack. For every creature you kill, you get to draw a card. I think back in the good old days, everybody calls it the sweep check for Loring Blade Master. Wind Allies used to be the strongest deck before you created the Ferrari, Jason, and everybody was only playing like 2 or 3 allies, keeping a deflecting edge in your hand to do the sweep check. So I think a lot of people are on Allies deck now after Kaven popularized the Wind Allies deck. I expected to see a lot of Wind Allies players for this Ascent, and that's why I decided to at least include Blade Master into my main board, so that I could play an alternative route if they're flooding the field. Because if you're just playing traditional Merlin, and if you don't draw the fireballs or the sparklights, there's no way that you can control the board, because you just don't have creatures. You tend to cremate your Stalwart Shieldmate, you cremate your Honorable Vanguard, or sometimes even your Flame Room Swordsman. It becomes really hard to take out an Ascent Protector. So this deck just works a little bit different. And I was rewarded. I think most of my matchups were Wind Allies and Water Allies during my Swiss rounds as well. I haven't even played a single Fire Merlin has a mirror, so my 3 Disintegrate in the sideboard is completely useless.
It wasn't useless though.
Yeah, I won't say it's useless. I went back after day 1. I'm like, I think I'm gonna put that into the players that are playing the Water Allies with the Scepter Luminaries, because it just shuts down their shotgun from level 2 Dungeon Guide to level 3 or something.
They lose 12 damage, right, when you do it, technically.
Yeah, it's 8 damage. They will level up to Blade Master, so 4 damage to you and swing you for 3, and then Dungeon Guide into Spirit Ruler, and they will take back a sword, and then possibly like what Kaven is doing, Dispersion for like 4 extra 6 damage.
And you were also moving into day 2. You started to blanch the scepter damage as well.
Yes, that's right. So at first, without knowing what the deck did, playing against Kaven in my Swiss round, 5th round, or was it 6th round? Can't remember. I think it was the 5th round. Oh no, it was 6th round. No, it was the last round, 6th round. I think round 6. I saw him banish a Dispersion, and I kind of suspected what he was doing. He was going to level 3, getting a sword with 4 durability counters, and just playing Dispersion on top of it. So technically, a burst damage of 15 if you count the Blade Master swinging you as well. So I knew that I needed the blanch in my subsequent games against them.
Imagine Dungeon Guard woke you up still.
Oh, that would be crazy. That's gonna be like 18 damage.
Yeah. I think speaking about that water deck, I think that the benefit for me, because I didn't play into that deck until day 2, was that you did play into that day 1. So then at the hotel that first night, was just able to get a game plan prepared for myself when versing that water deck, and it kind of all rotate around that. If Kahazi, as long as I don't see Kahazi Trapper, with that card kind of fucks me, but the level 2 Lorraine swinging at a creature, them wasting a card to protect it, and then me getting incremental card advantage, and then just keeping that until I can insult.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was definitely a benefit that Yep, versed that deck, put his mind to it, and then not only came up for a game plan for himself, but cleaned up my game plan for the matchup. And then obviously
What
the
was
other tech.
what was the like? So let's just envision this quickly. So day one, you've both done well. Yep, you were 5-1, 6-1. You were 5-1. Gaz, you were 4-1-1, right?
4-1-1.
You've both gone back. You guys were staying in a hotel together, yeah?
Yeah. So I was.
What was
12, I think.
what was the room chatter after day one? What was the discussion, like the back room discussion between you two after day one?
I think we were waiting. There was some upset stomachs. There was
So
some,
apparently, I did hear there was some food poisoning. A few people have felt ill after Auckland Ascent. So
yeah. I think so there was that, and then I guess there was just kind of I was feeling pretty confident. I felt like I was playing pretty well into the day one. I think both of us felt pretty confident, and then I was just waiting for deck list. Once the deck list came out, because they came out pretty late, obviously there was a lot of things going on. When I looked at how many decks weren't running raccoons, so outside of Yap, there was 3 other people with raccoons and an additional 2 that had them in their sideboard. And I can remember their names still now because I just wanted to remember their names. So I was like Joseph, San Diego, Eddie Tang. Like I literally just, I'm like, if I run into these people, okay, this is how I got to play. Once
do you go to bed? You're like Eddie Tang.
I was
Eddie
like,
Tang.
I was like,
No
as,
Eddie Tang.
as long as I don't verse them. And then when I went into day one, round 7, and I'm like, they don't have raccoons. I was like, this is just. It was Merlin. It was Glenn, the NZ regional champ, and he was playing like that Skittles Merlin, and because like it just is like kind of one turn slower, just because it's a bit inconsistent. I was like, yeah, you don't want to be that into an Ensol, especially when they're not scared of raccoons. Because I just went balls to the wall. So I was pretty. Day 2 as well, and day 1 that night, I think we just ended up watching like Tropic Thunder and just like some comedy with me film. So I went to bed.
How did you feel? Yep, after the end of day 1.
I was so sick. So the food poisoning is actually me. It's not gas. I think something went wrong with the food at VIP. I didn't have proper lunch. Between games, I just went there, ate some chicken nuggets, ate some like fish nuggets, some chips. I don't know. Or it could be the water. No one knows what's going on.
Water, the New Zealand water. It's a conspiracy. So how did you feel though, like confidence-wise, going at the end of day 1? How did you feel going into day 2, like game-wise, not stomach-wise?
Yeah. So I felt very confident going into day 2. My only concern then was like not feeling well enough to actually play for day 2. But otherwise, I knew the matchups I was going to play against. I knew what to do when I was going to play against the Water Allies deck. Especially with the deck list coming out, there won't be any surprises. So you know exactly what your opponent's going to do. All you have to do is just to think and assume the worst case scenario, and you play to the worst case scenario.
Yap plays, Gaz, you probably agree with me here. Yap plays extremely well when he knows what you're on or knows what you're playing. He then plays like 10 times more perfect than normal because then there's no surprises for you.
Yeah, like once you don't have to play around the card, it takes a lot of guesswork out.
I have like 3, like maybe 3 in my head I can think of that I've surprised him, and the 3 times I have surprised you, Yap. But like the Ravaging Tempest, that one time I beat you, is I surprised you with the Ravaging Tempest. But if I can't surprise you, I normally can't beat you.
So
it's definitely hard.
As soon as like Reckless Conversion was gone, and then I couldn't I won't say what Yap refers to it. I couldn't just put Yap through absolute hell of me taking.
We
a
actually
20
can't we can't refer to half the things Yap says because we'd get freaking monetized or banned on YouTube. What?
Hey boys. Obviously, just for everyone context, I decided to open one of the first edition boxes that we got as part of prizing, and I got a Rye Manoeuvre foil.
Oh,
not bad so far. That's
damn.
That's the biggest hit of the box, but yeah, go back to.
That's already like $300 right there. Fucking hell.
You can go back to the.
I see. Back to us getting banned if Yap talks too much.
Yeah, back to the Ascent Auckland.
So yeah, moving into day 2. So what were your matches in day 2? You go through them.
I think I played Mitchell. He was on Win Allies.
Mhm.
Oh, that was a difficult game. Don't get me wrong. He
Was that the
played
one that
very
double
clean.
did he double guild us? Was that game or no?
No, that was the top 8. I think that was I think it was Ivan.
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 Yeah.
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 Yeah, I've got so you versus Windelized at the start of day 2. Yep.
Yes. I mean, Mitch was a really good player. He played super tight into me. It was a score of 2-1. And then my second game was against Isaac. I think he made a misplay, and that's why he lost. And then the third round was just with Terry, but then we did the ID thing, so it wasn't actually a game.
Yeah.
So although I was saying this yesterday, although like TCG obviously is our rivals, we were put in a weird situation where they wanted Terry to get through and we wanted Gaz to get through. So it was like a Mexican standoff where, although we're rivals, we want to do what's beneficially better for both of our teams and ID, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so there was a risk that I was going to finish 7th with the ID, so I was like, shit, because then we know Yap was going to finish 2nd. But I just want to give a shout out to Josh, who I actually lost to. He was on Rye, nice Rye deck. So I don't know if you see the list in top 32, Josh. It was a solid Rye list. He kept playing and won his last round, and he pushed my breakers into 6th. So, Josh, I said thanks to him in person, but I'm going to say thanks again because that was real solid for the Creative Shock boys
won
here.
you an extra $1,000 or whatever.
Yeah, thank you very much there to put it there. And
And then in top 8, obviously you versed Ivan. We saw he had a very unlucky misplay when he played 2 Gildas. His hand that game, if he didn't misplay, he had 3 Gildas in hand. That would have been a very scary game.
Yes, very scary game. Him displaying that Gildas costed him 1 card and 4 damage. I think he told me at the end of the game he had a Quasi Trapper or Frostborn Paladin that he could play. So obviously by misplaying, it allowed me to not even go into the level 2. I could just go straight to the
Nice.
Merlin.
Yeah.
And I could just control 1 creature at a time. It was a bit easier for me. And I think he got a bit flustered game 2 because of the misplay. So I'm not sure if he was playing his best, but he looked stressed to me after the misplay.
Yeah. Okay, and then you moved into versing Gaz after that, and then the finals. How'd you go? How'd you feel in the finals? Like that would look like it was a pretty intense matchup as well.
Yeah, I think Anyang, or is that how you pronounce your name? He was really nice. We talked a lot of shit before the game started. He looked at my list and he was like, "Oh, that's a really hard list to play around against. I don't know if you're going to Blade Master or you're going to Merlin." And I think the whole time around he was trying to play around the Flame Sweep, so he intentionally not drop excessive amount of creatures on board. Or even if he did drop it, he would try to keep cards to protect it. And it gave me the opportunity to go to Merlin on both games and close the game from there.
Yeah.
I think
I did notice that when you did win, there wasn't much reaction. Did it not set in straight away? You kind of won, and you're just like, "Yep," and that was it. There was like no, like, "Yeah, come on, fuck you."
before Yap answers this, I reckon he was going back to the semi-final, going, "How the fuck? What happened in game 3?"
Yes. I mean, even when I won, it was like a kind of bittersweet moment because I didn't actually. I win because of my team. Like if Gas didn't concede to me, I wouldn't make the finals because he actually got the game for game 3. There was just too many things that went wrong for game 3, and then game 1 I was the Resolute Stand banishment that really got me. Like.
Are you gonna make sure that you count to only 3 on your next tithe? That's what I need to know.
Yes. I realized my biggest mistake is always the hasty messenger. So on my turns that I'm odd counters, I would play the Ghost of Pendragon. So that would be draw a card and draw 2. And then if I tend to forget that hasty messenger is also a 4th draw. Yeah, that's usually what I noticed that goes wrong. So I might make a dice, just 3-sided die next time to count my draws.
A triangle dice, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And I guess like it eventually set in, like you had a good night, you realized that you are now the champion of Oceania when it comes to like Ascents right now. So you need to back that up now. You need to win nationals, right?
I'll try my best. I don't think I'm the champion of Oceania. It's more like Creative Shock as a team took home Ascent. Like I said, if Gaz didn't concede to me, he could be the one that's on with the trophy right now. He could be the one that won first, you know? So it's a team effort. And I think moving forward, it's not about defending titles. We just all have to do our best.
Oh,
Yeah.
Gaz knows it's about defending titles. Gaz knows it's about defending titles.
Look, Ontario's going to be fun. Ontario's definitely going to be fun.
As Gaz said earlier, we've got a trophy each now, so the next person to get trophies in the lead, right?
Yeah. I feel like because me and Yap, we didn't have a good Houston tournament. Obviously, both of us didn't make day 2 for the winning ins. We picked Rye, bad medical. But this tournament, it was kind of like just a little bit of redemption that, we do have what it takes to put out results. And then obviously with Jason Yu not there's probably a little bit more pressure on us that, we're a team member down, but we can still put it out there. And while we're on still talking about it, Auckland, all the people that I played games against were all top notch. So like I remember like the people, the Nelson crew that I met and played against, the Dunedin, Hamilton, and all the other guys. It was a really, really good atmosphere at the event, and definitely what's the word I'm looking for? Definitely felt the love from the guys over there. So it was a good tournament.
If you can go back and change anything deck wise, what would you change?
I'd maybe have a couple Ignite the Souls for the Rye matchup. I felt like I had nothing for the Rye matchup. And then there was a couple of cards that were in the sideboard that I didn't really bring in. I had 2 Varuks in main and 1 in the sideboard, and I just didn't really need the Varuks. Like the Varuks always felt a bit like overkill because there was not a lot of veiling. There was resolute stands, but I kind of bait them out on the first Ensol, push enough damage to where I played one game where a person was just resoluting and I was just Ensoling each turn because I had the Crux Sights in hand. So he was already level 3 Merlin and I counted I was going to do Ensol 6 times. So eventually it's going to come out. So I think I killed him on the 3rd Ensol, but I'm like, this is going to come every turn. I'm just Ensoling. So he's going to run out of defense before I
run out of attacks. Yeah,
before I run out of Ensols.
Yeah. What would you change if you could change something in your deck?
Now it's retrospectively, so obviously Spurn to Ash is going to be a really good card moving forward. Everybody's going to be playing Water Allies with the Scepter. I noticed most Merlins that run Fiery Momentum or some form of requirement 5 cards in the graveyard, they tend to run the Varukan Acolyte. And if you notice, Varukan Acolyte does not destroy Scepter Lumina or Scepter Luminaris.
Lumina.
Lumina.
I think Luminaris is a WoW thing. I think Luminaris.
Oh no, Luminaris actually is a Flesh and Blood card. Sorry, I'm sorry.
Oh,
yeah.
there you
I
go.
apologize. Yeah. So
this is a Grand Archive podcast, not a Flesh and Blood one, mate.
Sorry about it. But Spurn to Ash is actually a great card. Cost 1 Regalia. Most Regalia cost 1 anyway. Tithe cost 1. You can't Varukan the Tithe away. So I think maybe I might put in Spurn to Ashes in my deck.
Hurts the Ghost of Pendragon draws. I remember that you either killing any sword, so they can't Pendragon it away. Like that one game where I think his name was Jack, he Varukan Acolyted my sword in game 2. It fucked me. And then I was like, I tried not to show how much that hurt because I didn't want him to think that was the right play for game 3. So I was like, game 3, I even attacked with the sword early to make sure I got some damage with it just in case. But the Spurn of Ashes definitely got play, especially in the Merlin, because you can get at least 2 damage off the Creative Shock if you throw it away when it's not needed.
Gaz won MVP card of the tournament.
people are gonna say Insol because that was the Insol deck, but MVP card that came. It's not that exciting, but to be honest, I think I made the same play in 80% of my matches, which was Dungeon Guide into level 3 and then Pendragon to get the cards back. And then I GCR'd Insult. Like, it was the same rinse and repeat.
So is Pendragon your MVP or is Dungeon Guide your MVP?
Pendragon's the MVP.
Okay. Yep. What's your MVP card?
You really like this because it's the card I added after you talked to me about it. It's
That's
Sparklight.
why I'm asking this question.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Sparklight, that's
Yeah.
probably the MVP card. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what made it the MVP card? I'm pretty sure there was multiple games where you would kill like a Banner Knight with it or something, right?
Yes, so
Foil Xander.
if you're still at
Oh, Jesus.
2 foil heroes in the box. Nice.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes,
Go on, yeah.
Sparklight, really good card. You know, most people run Deflecting Edge. They run like favorable winds. Was it Song of Nurturing as well? You can, in response to the trigger on the stack, Sparklight the opponent creatures. So you tend to bait them with Hasty Messenger, hit for 1 onto Gildas, 2 life left, and then you swing for 2 with like Flame Root Swordsman. They were Deflecting Edge, and then you Sparklight. So it's
Yeah, I did notice that. And then they lose a card and the thing dies they were trying to protect. Very good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously next big event coming up, we've got regionals in Melbourne coming up in what, a month and a few days. So we've got that coming, and then we're moving into set 3. That's the go pretty much, right? And then we're off to Ontario, all 3 of us,
Yeah.
and hopefully we can win some spots in Worlds. That's I guess where we're at now.
The double. Oh, if anyone hasn't seen it, the double elements here at Champions. It's like that now. Deck building is extremely opened up. Like Ontario is going to be wild. Like I'm
Yeah,
looking forward to it.
Ontario is going to be crazy. There's going to be a lot of crazy stuff going on. I think that having 2 elements in your deck may be stronger than having an advanced element.
Killed us 2 boys. Speak of the devil, and she comes.
Killed us on the phone. Yeah, nice. And what other SRs did you hit?
I'm still opening, so maybe you can keep talking about Ontario, and I'll give a recap at the end of that. 3 more packs.
Yeah. Yeah, nice. So we obviously with Ontario, it is a week after set 3 release. So we are very excited to kind of have a Wild West meta, which will be fun. I am probably going to Worlds whether or not I get an invite, just because I saw the Mercurial Heart and how they're doing they're going to do like a pre-release of like playing Mercurial Heart. That's kind of cool. Sounds cool to do. But yeah, obviously I can't miss any more events, mate. That's it. I've done my little sick leave event. That's it.
That's it. But yeah, I to anyone that probably wants to take the game competitive a bit more serious, even the like Uyan, I think he was like, I saw him, like Ivan, I think Jesse, I think like, I don't know if they're just mates, but I feel like a couple of them are on similar decks and they might actually be in a team themselves. You kind of see that people that have a consistent testing group and people to bounce off tend to do better in this. And it's not just this card game; it's like every card game. Like
also teams do tend to also like wear jerseys to events, and like they look like a team, and you know they're all nicely dressed as well.
By the
way, I like to see that you guys are both in your jerseys for the podcast. I think I had to hold a gun to both your heads for it, but hopefully we will be looking like a team in future events. Hopefully is the plan.
I'll let Yap talk for himself, but I think my jersey's cursed. I haven't had any good results wearing it. I just end up looking.
You were also playing right. You were also playing right and wearing the jersey though.
You know what's funny
right?
too? Also, buddy, the one game I lose to Rye, and then I was getting a playmat for one of the guys back home. I'm like, what playmat do you want? Oh, he's like, oh, can you get me Rye Stormseer? I was like, oh, for fuck's sake. I was like, sure. it was like 30 minutes after I just got absolutely manhandled by Rye.
How did you guys celebrate after day 2? Did you guys do anything, or did you just pack up and leave?
Okay, so went Korean barbecue. Ended up a couple of devs came. So Alan and Chris came. We had a really good dinner. had some shots, and then we foolishly listened to a couple of the younger Melbourne crew, and they said we found a bar. For any of the Kiwis watching, it was on K Road. That's probably enough said for the Kiwis. Before we had gotten out of the Uber, my spider senses were tingling, and then when we looked at the bar, I think Yap and Jay were about to walk in, and I said, I'm not going in there. It was a very interesting place. So we made the wiser decision to go to the empty bar, order one drink while we waited for an Uber to take us back to a couple of other people's Airbnb, and decided to just maybe just have a mini house party rather than end up in a alleyway on K Road.
Fair enough. I'll have to look up this K Road. I have not heard of it before, so I'm guessing it is a bit of an interesting area. Is it like the equivalent of like Broady or Reza or something?
Look, I reckon King Street at like 3 a.m.
Oh, okay.
The Uber driver, when he picked us up, said he doesn't come here unless there's six of him and his friends.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It was an interesting part.
Okay, so you did have a bit of a celebration at the end, though.
Yeah. We had a decent. Yap finally smiled. It's the first time I've seen him smile since I've known him.
Really? That's not true.
I was like the robot that's got feelings. It was like,
yeah, what though? Yap's gonna get off the podcast. He's like, do they really think I'm a robot? What the hell is this? It's Grand Archive robot at this point.
I'll do a quick recap. Actually, Yap, go. You can finish up your thought, because I think this box was pretty good, man.
Yeah. So what's your finishing thoughts in regards to the event? Last question for the day. What do you think, Yap? What was the overall? How was the event, and how was it run? Okay.
Oh, it was really smooth, the event. Like,
Geek culture.
a big shout out to Geek Culture, yeah, and Whips of the Shore. You know, the event went really smooth. Like, the judge calls, the timing as well. Like, I think I don't want to take a stab at Alan and Spanny's team at Houston, but it actually went really way better than the Houston event. Things didn't go over time. Like, I knew where I was going, and like I knew what was coming up next. Yeah, but of course, it's their first event in Houston. Like, things are gonna happen. Things are gonna like fuck up some way or another.
Ruben from Geek Culture, so he was the head TO. He runs a tight ship. Like, everything was like very clear communication with times, and it was pretty smooth.
I also felt special. I messaged the guy who was running the stream, and I'm like, all right, I want Yap on, please. And they put Yap on straight away. They're like, yes, sir. And they put him on. And then when Aaron Galvin asked the guy, he's like, oh, why am I on? And he's like, oh, normally we do it randomly, but Limelight asked. So I was like, oh. So I just like summoned Yap to the stream, and then you were on the stream like 3 times.
So you have a special like privilege, huh? Like,
yeah, special privilege, higher above you. I'm VVVIP.
I didn't want to be on stream.
I think he might not ever put, if he knows it's us team on a stream ever again. We did say,
yeah,
can you not put us on? But
and I was like, put him on. Like, put him on. Put Yap on at all times. I need everyone to see his spice.
What's
the recap?
The tally is, okay, so the foils: Rye Manaweaver, cha-ching.
Nice.
Xander level 2. I said Xander level 2 Sig. We got Xander level 2 foil.
Like it.
He's going to be, it's super irrelevant now, and with the new proxy as Xander level 2, it's going to be even more irrelevant. So I'm real happy about this one. We got a foil Ignite the Soul.
Alt art.
Well, original art. The new one's alt art, but whatever.
Yeah.
And then for our UR, we got Gaia's Blessing. Another card that sees absolute zero play. And then we've got a Dungeon Guide, and I sleeved that because it's a Dungeon Guide, so why not?
Gold.
And then we've got 2 Artifice Opus. Some more
This
playable
box is starting
cards.
to sound bad.
We got 2 Hymn of Gaia's Grace.
Oh, not bad. That's okay.
We got a Camelot the Impenetrable full art.
Impenetrable.
We got Arima, Gaia's Wings. We pretty much got all of Gaia at this fucking point.
It's like Exodia.
we got one Nimoy.
Nimoy.
Nile, and we got 1 Gilder. So we got 8. So 8, 1,
That's not
2,
bad.
3, 4,
That's a good amount of
5,
SRs.
6. That's 8 SRs, 2 foil champions. That's a very tasty
And a
box.
dungeon guide.
And a dungeon guide, and 8 SRs in first edition. That's an achievement because.
Guys, did I hear that we're actually going to give away a card from one of those cards?
Sure. I will
What do you
give
think?
away the. Trying to
Don't
think.
say something dog shit. I will give away the Honorable Vanguard first edition. Yeah, Yap wrote what you should give away.
I can't see it. I was going to give away the Gilders.
Nah, read it. It's good.
Oh, is it the card I just like talk shit on for 30 seconds?
It's still worth money.
Yeah, we'll give away the Xander level 2 foil. No, that's good.
Oh,
Actually, now I've got a play set of Gilders first edition, so I'm taking that.
so Xander level 2 will give away.
Xander
You will
level
need
2.
to comment below.
And you have to be subbed.
You have to explain why this Xander level 2 is good. That is what you have to comment.
The best reason on why Xander level 2 doesn't need an updated version.
Yes. And we'll give you a foil first ed Xander level 2 worth approximately 200 AUD, give or take.
And the most like outlandish, like the sillier, the better. Obviously nothing rude or anything I've got to delete, but like the sillier, the better. And this Xander level 2 that Limelight's going to ship off his own dollar.
No, I'm flying to America, bro. They can come pick it up while we're in America. That's how it is.
We don't know if someone in the US is going to get it. This is going to be, we'll give it anywhere and we'll work out how we'll get it to you.
Done.
Sillier, the better. So yeah, we're not picking at random. We're going to actually pick one that's funny.
Yep.
I was going to give him an opus, so you can see I'm pretty stingy, but Yap there goes from the Xander level 2.
Yap's feeling good, bro. He would have never said Xander level 2 if he didn't win Auckland. Trust me, that would not be on the count.
I think
He's feeling
we got the right as
happy.
well. We're just like, it's just all wins at the moment.
And he didn't even give away the rye after how much he hates it. That's crazy.
No, nobody plays the other Rye. Like no one plays Mana Weaver, but Xander level 2. My personal opinion, it definitely needs a proxy vault. Like that's probably the worst level 2 out there at this stage.
Well,
and it can be yours.
You look at the other level 2s, like not anyone that doesn't have a level 3. Merlin absolutely punishes other people and gains levels, progresses their in game. Lorraine clears a board and draws you cards. Sylvie, we've set up, draws you cards.
Rye draws you cards.
And Rye gives you an ability for the rest of the game to give you incremental card advantage off playing spells. Xander gives you 1+ damage that people can play around easily, and it's only 1+ damage into like a warrior because
A rested unit, yeah.
Sylvie never fucking attacks and
Rye
Rye
never
never
attacks.
attacks.
Oh yeah, it's good against Mana Weaver though, because Mana Weaver taps.
True.
You know what? I've always been saying, how can we deal with the Rye Mana Weavers? They're absolutely. I was literally talking to Alan and Chris, and I'm like, we've got too many Rye Mana Weavers. Like, I can't deal with them, and they're like, level 2 Xander. 2 cards that have a 0% fucking play rate.
In a different universe, that's the meta.
Real quick on the meta, there was 5 different decks in the top 8, so I think the meta's in a healthy place.
Healthy spot. I don't want to hear any complaining about any shit. To be honest, there was a Windrye in top 8. I am so happy. And he had 32 arcane cards. Crazy.
I love to see it. I wouldn't play it because like 24 cards and I feel like I'm drawing a hand of arcane, but 32 and he's like, Hold my beer. I'm doing it.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you, Yap, for being a special guest. Maybe we have Yap on more often. He's part of the team. We kind of just like don't even invite him. We just like do a podcast without him. He's like, "Hey guys, you want to have me on?" We're like, "Not unless you win a big event. You can't come on." Like that's how it is. Bit of a full crowd, guys, with 3 people on.
I think the longest thing was like I kept saying like you two just do it, or like I always wanted to keep it 2 because I couldn't be bothered adding an extra box in OBS. So that was my reason on why I just said just 2 people.
Well, we can talk shit at each other about like I'm better than you, but we can't with Yap. It's kind of boring. We don't get to really banter and say that we're better than him because we're not.
Technically, all our games in private, no one ever sees those results, and there's only one game.
Yeah,
there's only one recorded game between me and Yap.
True.
And,
so the media says that Gaz is just like he was doing a favor, and Yap really wanted to go to the finals, and Gaz like, here you go, little one. This is your opportunity.
It was like a Make-A-Wish kid, and I was like, you know what, man? I got you. Go for it.
All right, guys.
To be fair, I'll set the record straight. That was like I think it was like the last 9 games I got smashed, and then I don't know. Lightning has to strike at some point, doesn't it?
He made me play Water Allies into him for 2 hours. I was fucking miserable. But anyway, that's behind curtains. So, all right, guys, thank you so much for jumping in. Please comment about why Xander level 2 is good, and we will get this foil first ed Xander to you. And yeah, sorry for being 3 weeks without a podcast. It's Gaz's fault. Cool. All right. Thanks. Sweet.
See you
All
guys.
Right. Bye.
See you, everyone.
Bye from a loose TTG.